with Lola Lope from Doggy's Angels. We got the one with Badass.
Yeah, man.
And we got the one we completed last night with Spider Lope, which is going to be very explosive, and I'm going to leak that this Sunday. So keep your jaws wired for that one.
Definitely. Still keeping in the line of the West Coast with a living legend tonight. Our first guest, our guest tonight actually, pretty much if you know anything about just the street culture in general as well as hip-hop, then you know that this man is definitely, his name is etched in urban lore. You know, there have been TV shows and movies based upon his character, you know, and he's definitely one of the OGs, you know, simply known as Freeway Rick Ross. And we mean the original OG, LA's very own Rick Ross.
And we have him on the line right now, man. That's a dope entrance for our guest tonight. We got you on, Freeway Rick. What's good, brother?
Man, working, man. Down in Arizona. Just finished doing a book signing at Lolo's Chicken and Waffles.
Definitely. Mr. Ross, this is T-Max from VA, man. Much love to you out west, man. I know King's chopped it up with you previously. This is my first time making your acquaintance. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to meet you, man. How you doing?
I'm well. How you, my brother?
I'm good, man. I mean, so what's been going on with you lately, man? Tell us.
Man, I have to pinch myself to make sure I ain't in heaven. Yeah, man. Everything been good. You know, still pushing that book, The Ghetto Bible, Freeway Rick Ross Untold Autobiography. So I'm in Phoenix right now. I'm gonna do a 3-day book signing down here.
Word.
Getting ready. We should be shooting a movie in January, February. You know, that's coming along well. The new book comes out January the 26th on my birthday. I'm also looking for people who want to throw me book signing party, birthday party for my birthday. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what city I want to launch the book in or have. We're gonna do my book launch and my birthday at the same time, 26th of January. So I don't know what city I'm gonna be in to launch it, but I'm looking for people who are interested in doing something with me on that. What else I'm doing, man? You know, I'm into the cannabis now. We got the cannabis cracking. We finna put our hand down on the cannabis industry. What else we got going on, man? Selling cars, doing taxes, still doing speaking engagements, doing corporate credit. You know, people who want to get their credit done, they can holler at me as well. We got the Millionaire Club that's popping, where we're going to make 250 people millionaires. Is that it, man? That sounds like that might be it.
Sound like you a busy
anything
guy.
Else? Look, man, anything else that comes along in the course of this conversation, we got a couple hours to really chop it up on. So anything else? Now, you know, definitely I have to ask this. Now, it's already more or less, we already know, for those out there, our listeners out there, your history is already well documented in terms of your place in the game as one of LA's, you know, biggest kingpins at the time. And we also know, you know, at the time of the early 80s. And we also know about, you know, your subsequent incarceration and, of course, release, you know, and rehabilitation from that. And really, you know, I mean, your story is outright remarkable in terms of all that you have endured and coming out on the other side, you know, telling us the tale. You have so many guys, you know, like, of course, Boy George Rivera, Felix Mitchell, Alpo Martinez, you know, Rich Porter, you know, Kenneth McGriff, you know, Nicky Barnes. I mean, so many that have been out there really in the street doing what they do. And, you know, you're in that pantheon of legends, man. But to how you know, but I guess the main thing is from your time, you know, doing, being on vacation for so long and then getting out and then putting, having your plan together of what you wanted to do when you get out. Could you tell us about that journey in terms of really being able to set that path to prosperity that you're on so abundantly right now?
Well, I spent my time incarcerated studying. I decided that I was going to turn my jail cell into a college dorm instead of a cell, and that's pretty much what I did. I started working vigorously on my plans to better myself, to better my community, and to better the world.
Right. Definitely. Like they say, don't let let the time do you. You do the time in terms of being able to, of course, get better. As you said, better yourself behind those walls and everything, man. But wow, just to see what you're doing right now in the book. How did it come about for you to add to your awesome accolades as well, author, as well as activist and speaker and such?
Well, I was sitting in jail. I had a lot of time on my hands, a lot of time to think, and I saw in the paper where Tookie got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and I was like, wow, unbelievable! A guy from my neighborhood, got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for writing a book. And then it came to me that if he wrote a book on gangs, I felt that I was one of the most knowledgeable guys about drugs, cocaine in particular, at that time. And I said that, why don't I write a book about the drug business, what it took for me to make it, how I did it, just all the ins and outs. And I felt that if I did that, people would be interested, and it would be educational piece where young people could pick the book up and learn from start to finish what they were getting into if they got into the drug business.
Definitely.
That's a good thing because...
go ahead, Ken. Yeah.
I said that was a good thing because nobody knows the ins and outs and the good, bad, and the ugly. Everybody is pretty much looking at the game like it's painted with one brush. Like you get all the big nice cars and the homes, but they don't know about the ugly side of this.
No doubt, and that's what I wanted to bring to the table was the whole game. Not bits and pieces, but letting them know that okay, if you get in the game, you can expect this. You might make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, these are the consequences, and this is the price that you have to pay to having that type of wealth.
Definitely. And Rick, it's a very, what's your, like as I said, for people who really know your story, man, you definitely laid the foundation in terms of really being able to give, an idea to use Ice Cube's, song title, A Gangsta's Fairy Tale, except you were really living it in real life,
Right.
Could you tell us about that time in Los Angeles in the early 1980s? Because if I'm not mistaken, the FX series Snowfall is loosely based on events from your real life, in terms of what it was, as you actually, and shout out to John Singleton, for actually getting that project off the ground. Now, with that series, was that something that you were consulted on or was that something that pretty much was kind of an independent operation separate from what your life was?
Well, I wouldn't give John a shout out, you know what I'm saying? I think John, he loaded me on that one, and I don't have anything to do with it, which I should have. John had read my script, and he was one of the first people to buy my book. And when I saw that he had went and got Snowflake or Fall, whatever it's called, finance, I was very disappointed with him.
Got you.
But at the end of the day, I haven't watched it. I'm boycotting the show.
Okay.
Because it's amazing to me how they'll take a fake story and they'll put it out, but they don't want to put the real story out. I mean, if you guys are going to do a TV series, why not put out the Rick Ross story? You know, why not let the people know that this is a real story, a real guy, and it really happened, instead of taking something and making fake. But that's the way the system. That's the way the system works. You know, they never want to give us our props when we're alive. They always want to give it to us when we're dead. And you know, that's my take on Snowfall.
Understood, absolutely. Now, in terms of now, just about your life, in terms of, you know, growing up, in terms of just, you know, from being a young man, you know, how do you see today from your youth during that time to where we see a lot of youngins in the game right now? You know, of course, you know, we're all older, you know, and you know, really looking back on the culture shift in terms of what it is from the streets, and even now with internet celebrity, when you see a lot of the young people doing a lot of wild things online in terms of trying to give off this impression of being, you know, this street heavy, you know, the big baller on the block, you know, everything that entails, you know, getting it out there. How do you see that paradigm shift from your time coming up to what it is now?
Well, you know, I give sympathy to young people right now because they're being fed a lot of bullshit through the media, through the music. They're being made to believe that people are things that they're not. They're being made to believe that people did things they never done, that they never tried to do. And I think that it's detrimental to our young people's health, because now our young people go out and try to imitate things that they see on TV and things that never happen, things that will never happen again. And I think that hinders them from exploring their real talents and being who they could be if they only use their imagination.
Definitely.
And how deep of the snowball effect do you see affecting the youth from the Reganomics days? Because what people we would just want to paint that picture of the damages that Reganomics have done to the black community. Do you still feel those effects today, or do you see it?
Oh, absolutely. It's all over the place. It's running rapid in our community. But, you know, at the end of the day, we have to make up our minds what it is that we want to do. Can you excuse me for 1 second?
Yes,
right
sir.
Ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is
Call
Off the Cuff Radio.
Call number is 1-619-924-0703. Off the Cuff Radio. We got Freeway Rick Ross on the line. Chopping it up.
Yes, man. Sponsored by Da Vinci Clothing. Shout out to our co-hosts who are here with us in spirit, Ilar the Sandman and Miss Chinchilla. You know, while we're waiting for our guest, Mr. Ross, to come back. And he's back. Just on cue. He's on cue. Yes. Go ahead, King. You had the flow with it. Go ahead, King.
Yeah, we just want to paint that picture because they're talking about how bad it is under the Trump regime, but we want to paint that picture back on how detrimental Reaganomics were back in that heyday and how crippling those policies that he was passing, that whole war on drugs, how that was detrimental to the black community, and does that have that effect today?
Well, you know, I think that it's hypocritical and bogus for our government to bring drugs into the country and then turn around and incarcerate the people who get involved with drugs. You know, right now we still got 600,000 black men in prison for nonviolent drug offenses, and I think Reganomics played a terrible role on that. I don't know where Trump is going with his presidency, but at the end of the day, you know, he doesn't have our best interests at heart. I don't believe. But you know, for the most part, no president has ever really made a policy to help black people. You know, even Obama, he never directly did anything to single us out. I think that he stayed away from those issues in fear of being labeled as somebody who catered to blacks, and I don't think he did, even though, you know, blacks put him in the power, and he had an opportunity. He did do a little, you know, with the crack epidemic. I think he released 2,000 people, but you know, that's just a drop in the ocean, like one raindrop in the ocean. It was nothing that he could have done, and he could have commuted everybody who was involved with crack cocaine. Once they found out that it was racially motivated, he could have corrected that wrong with one swipe of the pen.
Definitely. Now, Mr. Ross, in terms of the Reaganomics era, because, you know, also watching the movie American Made, you know, with Barry Seal, you know, a shout out to Tom Cruise for an epic performance in that movie. Because for those that really understand that story as well about, you know, and it's all documented, as you know, on Off the Cuff Radio, we are never a ratchet outfit in terms of gossip. We're all about the real facts of what was going on during that time. And as you said, you know, basically the CIA was involved in that in terms of funding the Contras, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if there's any part of my you know, recollection of the facts that is remiss or renegade in their articulation. And, you know, basically, as you said, you know, that was part of the whole, quote-unquote, war on drugs, which was really disenfranchising a lot of black and brown individuals because, you know, of course, when crack hit in the 80s, you know, our communities were the ones that were directly affected from it. But as you said, the hypocrisy of it was that yet and still, you know, they were being trafficked in, you know, but, you know, like what did Razzcast say, you know, in Miami Life, you know, no government permission, no DEA intervention, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to see how, you know, it has decimated the community, you know, but yet and still you want to lock up the people that you basically, you know, that, you know, it was basically supplied to, you know, who really for more or less were trying to just survive in the street, you know, speak to a bigger issue in terms of the economic policies in reference to, as you said earlier, about how they were not favorable towards us in terms of really being able to, you know, they in terms of helping the inner city really come out of it. And also I wanted to touch on another level, too, in reference to politics with our, you know, current president and how some rappers, and I guess you know where I'm going with this, well, some artists, whomever, have decided that they want to speak their mind on politics, not, number one, having an authentic understanding of the politics they're trying to speak on, and two, not having the real experience of the street to really understand it as well. We're not going to say no names, but our listeners out there know. And what is your opinion of those people who try to pontificate on a subject that they may not necessarily be scholarly in?
Well, you know, anytime you're speaking on something that you don't have the knowledge and the background to speak on, it makes you look foolish.
Right.
So I would suggest anytime that I'm speaking, I'm speaking out of either experience or something that I got from somebody that was experienced in doing it. And I would encourage anybody before they speak to always think about what they're saying, because once you let it out, you can't take it back. And I hope that all our people learn to think before they speak.
Especially in this day and age
Definitely.
where anything you say on the internet will never leave.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Now,
so when when writing your book, like, do you have any other books that some of, like, were your favorite books to read? Like, are you like avid reader, like, of biographies and strategy books and stuff like that? Those type of books
Absolutely.
influence you on how you try to move?
I read over 300 books before I left prison, and there's three
Wow.
books that stood out the most to me, and that's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, As a Man Think or Woman Think by James Allen, and The Richest Man in Babylon by George Classy. Those books really helped me mold my plan that I'm working right now.
Man, that's amazing, man. And it also as well, Mr. Ross, also too, a good friend of mine as well, Sean Hartwell, if you're familiar with him, from New Jersey. He also had the same trajectory that you did in terms of really being out there on the street, pumping, and then doing 20 years and then coming out and becoming a successful entrepreneur in terms of being one of the premier party promoters, in New Jersey, owning his own club as well, and if not that, promoting heavily in other clubs. So I guess we want to we want our listeners to know that no matter the circumstances of your life, no matter, the convictions of what you may have been imprisoned on, you can always come out. Your mind may be locked up, your body may be locked up, but your mind is still capable of making marvelous moves upon release, and, and shout out to you in terms, and you of so many others who decided that coming out, you wanted to make a positive impact on the community. And, I mean, how does it feel to be so revered upon your release? I mean, one of the videos that always stands out to me is, of course, Mac Lucci, Cali Life, where you're in that scene in the car sitting with him, man. And that's just one video of many that you've been in. How does it feel to still garner so much respect to this day?
Well, respect is something that has to be earned, and I work hard to get the respect that I get, and I marvel of it. I love it, and I'll keep working to get to that point, and that's one of the reasons I started my Millionaires Club. I got a club now where I'm getting ready to teach 250 people how to become millionaires, and that's only to gain the respect, because I believe, when people get rich, they hoard it for themselves instead of sharing it with other people, and I want to be the one that they say, man, Rick made 1,000 people millionaires, or 10,000 people millionaires from his teachings.
Man, that's what it's up. And as we say, it's called paying it forward and bringing down that hand to lift others up. Now in terms of what it is, in terms of the street life, as in terms of, because you actually lived it, in terms of the seduction of the cars, the women, the money, the opulence, the perceived respect of it, you saw the good and the bad of it. And I wanted to touch back on that about what you said earlier, because there's a view of what people have with the romanticized and the exaggerated, but not the real and the authentic of it. And obviously, with you being an author now, you're able to articulate, we know game is to be sold, not to be told, but if you could just give us a tidbit in terms of the maturation, the makings of the man and the evolution of where you came to where you got to this day in terms of really seeing everything. Was there a point along the way where you realized, like, wow, this is like really some dangerous shit that I'm involved in terms of, what I thought it was and then what it actually is?
Well, it didn't really hit me until after I was sitting in prison, and I started to look back over my life, that I realized that it wasn't a game at all that I was doing. It was serious, and I just started to learn the seriousness of it. And it was something like this here. I was thinking to myself, why was you getting up every morning putting a pistol in your pocket? What was the purpose?
Right.
Why were you wearing a bulletproof vest? And what came to me was that at any day, somebody might try to kill me or rob me. And if somebody tried to rob me, that automatically put my life in danger. So I had to be ready to defend myself at all costs, meaning I may have to kill somebody. And I had a bulletproof vest on for in case they got to jump on me and they didn't know I had a vest on, that I still may be able to get them in the end. And when I started realizing this, and, I was in jail one time with a guy that was accused of a rock house robbery, where when he went into the house, he killed everybody in the house. So I realized that those type of things took place, and that I was not only put my life at risk, but my whole family.
That's real, dog. And it's like, a lot of people, and for you and for us to have this sit down to really, really, really talk about it, we really we pull no punches, and we're always gonna tell the real, man. Because a lot of times, because I know you saw Paid in Full, and you saw how that whole situation turned out in the end, where Outpost snitched out everybody after shit got real for him. Of course, everybody knows, and that's the only part of the story, because there's also the other half of it that was spoken on Rayful Edmond, and of course, his hitman Wayne Perry, and you know about that story as well.
I knew Rayful.
Yes, sir. And and just how, when that whole situation came down, how a lot of people, basically, went down with it. But but during the time that Rayful was on the street, man, it's like, Wayne was basically the nigga who was handling shit for him when people got out of line. Wayne, as he was known as Silk, he was ruthless, man. If you crossed him or Rayful, you were going to be dealt with. And I think a lot of heads getting out there in the street don't really understand the
implications that goes on. That's why it's important to have guys like Rick on the show to let people know that it was like the Wild Wild West out there. It wasn't just like it wasn't like Grand Theft Auto. Your life was on the table. Your life was on the line 24/7.
Definitely.
No
doubt.
Now,
in terms of the hip. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna have about 5 more minutes, and I got to get to my next event.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess closing it out, we want to ask you in terms of your in terms of the interactions with a lot of the West Coast artists out there, and of course, man, oh my God, is there such a ton of talent coming on out west, man? I mean, Cam and China, Steve Lacy, shout out to Compton AV. Shout out to Mitchie Slick.
I was going to ask him too, about his nephew, Slim the Mobster. Because we played 2 songs of him. Like, how is he doing?
Oh, word.
Slim
I didn't know Slim was your nephew, man. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Slim's back in prison. Slim is living that life, man. A lot of them dudes rap about it, but Slim really lived that life. He was caught with a pistol a couple months back. I think he got like 3 more months, and he'll be back out though.
All right. Look. We would love to have him on the show as well if you can make that happen for us. We would love to, talk to him.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Hit me in like 3 or 4 months, and I'll put that together for you.
Definitely. We're gonna be in touch.
I know he has a lot of interesting stories to tell, and plus he's really dope, man. Like I was literally listening to him today. And it's just funny how that connection happened and we have you on the show. I didn't even know you two was related until today.
Yeah.
I didn't know it
doubt.
at all.
Well, you know, he was supposed to be the next one up out of Interscope, and something happened over there that got him boosted out. But yeah, he's still doing his thing.
Definitely. You know, look,
Might have
Free
been
Slim.
Him and 50 got into it too, so that could have been the problem as well. I'm not for sure, but
oh Lord, oh.
Something happened where you know, he was no longer wanted over at Interscope.
Well, you know. Oh, go ahead, King.
Yeah, God, I know he has to be out shortly, man. So we're gonna end this part of the show on that note. Like, do you have any shout outs you want to give out, or let people know where to find you?
Yeah. Y'all can get me on social media at Freeway Ricky, Twitter, Instagram, Freeway Rick Ross on Facebook. You can go to my website, freewayrickyross.com. Order your book, order your T-shirts. I got some new sweatshirts that's out. I only got a few left. So if you're interested, hit me up on there. Also, if you want to know about the Freeway Millionaires Club, hit me up on my social media, and we'll make that happen. Thank y'all.
Definitely, man.
Peace.
And thank you. Thank you again.
There you go. A big shout out to Fleetwood for making this happen.
Man, yes.
Yeah, man.
Indeed.
We have